We'd finished a modest pasta dinner with salad, and I was looking forward to catching up on some shows I'd been watching. I scrubbed the dishes, then loaded the dishwasher, drying my hands with a coarse rag before walking to the bathroom door to find it shut. A light knock returned my father's deep voice. Occupied. So I head to the living room, passing some time with a puzzle game on my phone, sunken into the couch. I completed a few levels as my mother worked through a stack of legal documents in the study when my nagging bladder led me once more to the bathroom door. Still closed. "Hurry up, Dad," I pleaded, returning a deep, muffled cough, then, "Give me a minute." I looked at my phone's clock and realized he must have been in there for at least half an hour already. I explained this to the door to the answer of, "My stomach is just a little upset. I need a minute." Something started to feel very wrong. Perhaps it was the lack of humor in his voice, devoid of his usual grumpy tone. Perhaps it was the fact that he's had an operation just last year and now seems more mortal, more fragile than before. "I'm using yours then," I snapped to no response. I walked through my mother's study to inform her, but she wasn't there. I headed up the stairs to find their room empty. Their bathroom door was closed as well. I knocked on the door to my mother's deadpan response. "Occupied." I wondered if and how food poisoning could be the culprit, and since I merely needed to go number one, I just headed out the back door and relieved myself behind the bush. I felt a little exposed in the night's breeze, but the view was at least blocked from any neighbors' homes. I returned inside to my room to watch some TV and try to forget about it. About 2 episodes later, I had a nagging feeling of unease and checked the bathroom door to find it still locked shut. "Dad, what's going on? Can I get you anything?" I asked, my tone laced with concern. "I'm fine. Just give me a minute," he responded in the same lackluster voice. I looked at my phone. It had been 2 hours. Something was very wrong. I raced upstairs to my parents' bedroom, up to their bathroom door. "Mom, what's going on? Are you okay?" I called frantically. "I'm fine. Just give me a minute," she said. "It's been 2 hours. Something's clearly wrong," I barked, unable to mask my concern. "Just a sec," she responded. I thought I heard something, perhaps electrical or insect. Something buzzing or scraping, but it was barely audible and gone quickly. I headed back, defeated, back to my room and resumed my show. I must have dozed off. When my eyes stretched open, it was daytime, and my cell phone read 10:45. I trudged a zombie-like shuffle to the bathroom and twisted the handle. Locked. Dread welled in my stomach as I remembered the night before and knocked on the door. "Occupied," my dad's voice called back. And then I heard it. The muffled sound, similar to cicadas, but much softer and lower in tone. I sniffed, fighting the urge to cry, then noticed the odor. It wasn't a septic one. It was the sour stench of a dead mouse, swept from behind a fridge. The foul odor of decay when stumbling upon half of a deer in the woods. I twisted the handle and said, "Dad, I'm very worried about you. Just open the door." There was a low, phalgum-filled cough, followed by a baritone, vibratory response.
Give me a minute.
I raced upstairs. My parents' bathroom door was locked as well. My mother's voice, "Give me a minute," repeated like a script when I knocked. Dozens of flies circled the bedroom, buzzing and hovering past my batting hands. I removed my phone with shaky fingers and dialed 911, not yet pressing send. "Open the door now or I'm calling 911, I demanded. No response. I dialed. I explained that I was worried, that my parents hadn't left the bathroom in over 10 hours, that something was very wrong. They agreed to send an officer after some convincing, and I waited downstairs on the couch. I'd opened all the doors and windows to air out that rancid smell permeating the house, but more flies just kept coming in. After roughly an hour, I heard the car engine outside and walked outside to meet the officers. I led them in the house over to the bathroom door, where the taller of the two officers knocked, saying, "I'm a police officer. Your son called me because he's concerned. Can you please open the door?" To the responding sound of the toilet flushing. He tried the door handle, finding it locked. "Please open the door now, or we'll be forced to open it." Nothing. He looked over to the other officer, who nodded. A solemn frown mixed on his face. The tall officer removed a tool and forced the lock. He opened the door and immediately buried his face in the crook of his elbow. "My God," he said quietly, coughing violently and then gagging. What was left of my parents' bodies was removed as I sat in the back of a cop car. I wasn't a suspect, they'd clarified. They just had a lot of questions about my story as to why I hadn't called earlier. They explained as gently as possible that the bodies had begun to liquefy from decomposition, a stage of decay that usually happens nearly a month after death. They said they're trying to find the cause through toxicology tests. In the meantime, I've been staying with my uncle nearby, who's been very helpful through the ordeal that's haunted me and plagued me with despair. His house is much smaller. It has only one bathroom that he entered over an hour ago after dinner. Panic has begun coursing through my blood. I knocked on the door and asked if he was okay a few minutes ago. The response was that single, ominous word that melted my insides. "Occupied," followed by that faint rattling sound as I tearfully asked back, "By what?"